aspects current affairs that you should take into account. First of all, see, when it comes to this current affairs thing, you understand what important thing. There are two ways of asking current affairs questions. One is directly from the news. If you directly ask from the news. The second is the extrapolation from the news. It could be something like, it can be the news may be the base, but the questions may be coming from some subject. For instance, from the news, that could be a geography question, or that could be a history question, or that could be a constitution question, or it could be also Indian economy. So the questions may be either directly asked from current affairs, or it could be from the subjects which are related to current affairs. That's the way current affairs is being understood, and we should understand that. Almost going by the trend, almost 70 to 80% of the questions, minimum 60% of the questions have a bearing on the current affairs. Meaning, almost more than 50% of the questions are from current affairs. Most of the times we do not know. We do not know why is the question. Sometimes you may feel that this question is out of the blue, but it need not. The question could be directly from the current news items, or certain news items may be extrapolated from the news to certain subjects. This is the first thing you should understand. Okay, answer. Supposing if you are saying that more than 60% of the questions are coming from current affairs, then how do they ask? What are the things that they are actually focusing on? Certain things like anniversaries. The questions are sometimes from anniversaries. It could be 10th year. Predominantly, if you see, it could be from 10 years, that which completes 10 years, or 25 years, or 50 years, or 100 years, or 120 years. From anniversaries. The anniversaries can be birth anniversary, or death anniversary, or anniversary of an event. For instance, 75th anniversary of the Constitution coming into force. India independence. 75th anniversary of India's independence. If you look at history and business, Chowri Chowra incident 100 years. Similarly, there can be a question from personalities. Again, personalities are associated by and large, it will associate with anniversary. Death anniversary, birth anniversary. Alright. Similarly, if national pride, 100th death anniversary. 2021, 100th death anniversary. Yeah. Certain things are very non-obvious. Certain things are very non-obvious. For instance, When did Kalpana Chawla die? When did Kalpana Chawla die? February 2003. Now we are, it's about 20 years, right? Now, this is very non-obvious. Most of the time, you must have, it appeared in the newspaper. It appeared in the newspaper, but you could have overlooked it. So UPSC generally focuses on these kind of non-obvious aspects. Amari, when this kind of news items varumbodhu, second thing what they can focus on is extrapolation. What they can focus on is something like the concepts relating to the news. The basic concepts relating to the news. The concepts may be relating to the constitution or geography or environment, sometimes historical events. Sometimes it could be historical events. Such aspects may also be the reason for questions. The questions may be asked based on those reasons as well. You have to focus on these aspects. Now, sorry sir, I have not taken any notes until now. I have been randomly looking around the news and I have been randomly doing it. So what we are going to do is, we are going to select news items, which in our opinion is going to be important for the exam. And we are going to give you, what I am going to discuss to you is the extrapolation. So the next 40 days, you will use your current affairs, whatever be the notes. Because today's current affairs is something that is oversupplied. Current affairs வந்து ஒரு பீரியட்ல வந்து current affairs எப்படி படிக்கிறது அப்படின்றது. So now the problem is which to follow. So that was the reason why we used to give you a weekly current affairs. Yeah, it's not. Let us go for consolidated current affairs, not for weekly current affairs. Yeah, it's too much. Finally, you never get. I mean, it's too distracted, and you tend to lose focus. அதனால don't try to cover everything. I know, and we all know very well that we will be having hell a lot of notes about current affairs. There are every online material, there is every Telegram channel, there are Telegram channels who post questions, there are Telegram channels, even we post questions in Telegram channel. Every day 5 questions are being posted. And next this weekend I'll give you the compile the questions that are asked in the Telegram channel. I will compile and give you it. And I will discuss those questions also. All right. I'm going to give you a test on Saturday. Sir, I'm going to give you a test. Don't worry about it. Yes, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Just in between, I lost my connection. So, now particularly, don't worry about it. This is not to test you. This is to share information. Just you go through the questions and next 45 days, use your current affairs to extrapolate to various subjects. Let me tell you how you can do that. Similarly, I shall also be posting a PPT slide what I am using for the class today into the downloadable thing, or I'll share it with your in the groups. You can use that. Okay. First thing what we are going to talk about is the news that came other than my current affairs period, September, October 2021 to. So normally, how current affairs period was fixed by UPSC. Generally, it will be from the mains, previous year mains. For instance, in the last 2 years, the schedule has been collapsed due to pandemic. Previously, for June, you'll be having prelims, and May, June will be having prelims, and September, October will be having a main. September, October till April, May. In the version, there is more likelihood that we can expect questions up till May 15. That's the reason why we have been scheduling classes of current affairs in the fag end. So the strategy here is to use current affairs to revise all of your subjects. Okay, you should take one news, and based on that news, you are going to discuss what are the possible subjects or what are the possible areas of interest. That's what we are going to do. All right. I hope it's clear to you. Those are online also.
Yes, sir.
Good. Okay. First news at the top. See, previous Supreme Court, the first news is public interest litigation and contempt of court. See, there was a news wherein a chairperson of the NGO, was punished for filing 64 public interest litigation over 3-4 years without any success, and the court has imposed on him a fine of 25 lakhs. The court has imposed 25 lakhs fine. What is public interest litigation? How can it be filed? Who can file it? Which are the articles relating to the filing of public interest litigation? And the court also imposed him a punishment for contempt of court. So, what is contempt of court? In the concepts, you have to understand. Say, what is PIL? So, what is public interest litigation? So, public interest litigation is, first of all, public interest litigation can be filed in any court in the interest of public by anybody. Anyone can file. It's a litigation filed by anyone in the interest of the public. In the interest of the public. Yaar file pannalam. What do you mean by this? The public interest litigation is one of the questions that has been asked several times in the prelims. The concept of public interest litigation came to India, or the person, the judge of Supreme Court who was instrumental in bringing this public interest litigation to India was Justice P.N. Bhagwati. This was a question asked in previous year. Who was instrumental in bringing about public interest litigation? This was a question asked in prelims. That was P.N. Bhagwati. And the question was already getting up. So now the issue, the question for us to deal with this, beyond that, under which article public interest litigation is filed? Public interest litigation can be filed under Article 32 of the Constitution and 226 of the Constitution. Under Article 32, the power of the Supreme Court is conferred with the power of entertaining public interest litigations and passing orders for the implementation of fundamental rights as well. Similarly, the High Courts of every state is also empowered to entertain public interest litigation under Article 226 to entertain and pass orders with respect to public interest litigation. Public interest litigation generally with respect to judiciary, when you study about judiciary, generally what is given in the Constitution is the judiciary has to be moved. The court has to be moved. The court cannot take action suo motu. Suo motu on its own. The court has to be moved. The court does not have the power to take up any cases suo motu. This is one first condition. Second condition is the court can be moved only by a person who is aggrieved. That is called as locus standi. Locus standi. If only you are an aggrieved person, if only you are an affected person, you can move the court. If you are not moving the court, if you are not an aggrieved person, you cannot move. The court will check as to whether you have any locus standi to move the court in order to file a litigation or approaching the court for a remedy. This is one question. When the concept of locus standi is liberally interpreted, the concept of public interest litigation emerges. The concept is Canada language. This was also asked in the prelims. So where did the concept of public interest litigation emerge? There may be a set of people to whom the court is inaccessible due to maybe distance, due to maybe inadequate knowledge of law, maybe due to economic reasons, maybe due to perhaps a combination of all the three. They may be remote and inaccessible to court, and they may not have the legal knowledge. For example, the tribes. Perhaps they may not also have the economic strength to move the court as well. So for such people, the locus standi has to be liberally interpreted, and any person who is publicly conscious or who thinks that he can actually contribute to the society can move the court. Yeah, he can move the court. This is one important aspect of public interest litigation. I hope it's clear to you. So, this is the question. The question can be, what is public interest litigation? What are the, from where did it come? From where did it emanate? From where did it come? What is public interest litigation? And who was the judge who was instrumental in bringing public interest litigation to India? And what are the characteristics of public interest litigation? So, go deeper. The public interest litigation flows out because of the liberal interpretation of locus standi. Right? Where characteristics? What are the possible questions can be? The possible question can be from this way. It should not be for the implementation of or enforcement of a private right or a private interest, but it should be in the interest of the public. One. Number two. Generally, in a litigation will have a bipolar structure. There will be a complainant and there will be a defendant. Right? ஒரு தப்பு நடந்தா இங்க என்ன இருக்கும், ஒரு கம்ப்ளைனன்ட் இருப்பாரு, ஒரு வாதி இருப்பாரு, இன்னொரு பிரதிவாதி இருப்பாரு. This is what you call as bipolar structure. In a public interest litigation, this bipolar structure is not needed. For example, in the environmental issues, if you are going to file a case against, if you are going to file a case in respect of the environmental issues, can you fix anyone as your defendant? Cannot. So, public interest litigation, in public interest litigation, the bipolar structure is liberal. There is no need for bipolar. Generally, we move the court only after a right is violated or only after the infringement of a right. அதான் பண்ணுவோம். தப்பு நடந்துரும். இந்த தப்புக்கு ரெமெடிக்காக நம்ம கோர்ட்டுக்கு போவோம். நான் பணம் வாங்கி ஏமாத்திட்டேன். I borrow money from the bank. I didn't repay the money. The bank will go for litigation. But the bank will go to the court and plead before the court to assess it to get the money back from me. But in public interest litigation, there is no need for infringement of any right. It may be filed when a situation is there for the right to be infringed upon. Again, for example, environmental issues. உதாரணமா கேஸ் சொல்றேன் உங்களுக்கு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்றேன். Crackers should not be bursted during winter in Delhi. Case for all. Supreme Court has given guidelines for bursting crackers during Diwali. Who is the complainant? Who is the defendant? Clear? Any right has been now violated? No right to violate, but another right to life may be violated because of the pollution caused in future. So there is no need for any right to be violated, but the likelihood of infringement can also be a reason for filing PIL. Yeah, you remember this? This is very important with respect to public interest litigation. So beyond that, in the news, where the contempt of court. So what is contempt of court? See, contempt of court is willful disobedience of the orders of the court, or willfully disobeying the orders of the court, or willfully challenging the authority of the court. Like that, contempt and pay. Where is this contempt mentioned in the contract? And how does the court get the power to punish anybody for its contempt? The constitutional position in that. According to Article 19, Clause 2, contempt of court is a ground on which the right to freedom of speech and expression can be restricted. You cannot exercise your right to freedom of speech and expression. You cannot exercise your right to freedom of speech and expression in a manner in which it will be disobeying or disrespecting the court. Then how does the courts get the power? According to Article 129. Now, according to Article 129, Supreme Court of India is a court of record. Supreme Court of India is a court of record. Adhe mari Indian high courts are also courts of record. Indian courts are courts of record. What do you mean by court of record? A court of record is one whose orders or judgments or decrees will have an evidentiary value and will not be challenged or questioned when it is produced before any other court. I repeat. The court of record is a court whose orders and judgments will be recorded as case law. It will be recorded as case laws. When you quote that as a supporting argument for your case, then the court where you are placing this argument will not challenge them. Challenge பண்ணாது. It will have an evidentiary value. That's why we call it as a court of record. And every court of record, when you say a court as a court of record, it automatically includes the power of the court to punish for its conduct. For instance, if you are filing a case in any court upon fundamental rights, and you are quoting Keshavan Bharati case as the evidence for your case. The Keshavan Bharati case evidence support பண்றாங்க. No court will challenge it. No court will refuse to accept. Yeah, that's why we call it as a court of Supreme Court is a court of record. Supposing if the court is not accepting it, and if you move the Supreme Court may take action against High Court for contempt. Any court for that matter. அது ஓவர்ரைட் பண்ணலாம். சேம் கோர்ட் தான் பண்ண முடியும். அல்லது superior court தான் பண்ண முடியும். Order of the High Court may be quoted to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court may refuse to accept it and override it because it's a superior court. But other high courts பண்ண முடியாது. That's why we call Indian courts as court of record. So court of record automatically there will be the power to punish for its contempt. The court of record will have a power to punish for its own contempt. And there are two types of contempt. One is civil contempt and other is criminal contempt. So what is civil contempt? What is criminal contempt? I'm posting it in the chat box. And I will also be sharing this to you in the PPT, what I'm going to share to you in the group. Okay. I will share it in the Viewgum group. I hope everybody is in this group, Telegram group. I'm typing the group name in the chat box. Or I will also post the link. If somebody is not part of that group, you can become part of that. Most of you would be part of it only. If somebody is not there, So I've shared the link of the group in chat box as well. Somebody is not there in the group, you can join that channel. I suppose it's a channel. So I will post the PPT over there. So you can make note of that civil contempt and criminal contempt. See, of late, these kind of concepts are also asked in the questions. Last time, if you see, they asked technical questions like police custody and judicial. I don't know, better. Okay, fine. So this is the first one. So this is purely a constitutional question. So therefore, we are confining to constitution, nothing more than that. Second is relating to the news relating to Zojila Pass. The Zojila tunnel in Kashmir to Ladakh has been in news for quite long time, including I suppose couple of days back. Even last few days back, there was a news relating to the border road organizations, braving the weather conditions and working there for 24 hours. Good job. So Zojila is Zojila Pass has been continuously. Continuously, it is used of see, long back, Zojila tunnel was first made and it was dedicated to the nation. Since then, Zojila Pass and Zojila tunnel have been very much used. So first of all, you just try to understand what are the aspects relating to Zojila tunnel aspects. First, so this is India's longest road tunnel and Asia's longest bidirectional tunnel. That's why it's really becoming important, and it will be all weather. It provides all weather connectivity between Ladakh and Srinagar. Yeah. Apart from this Zojila tunnel, there are other references like Atal tunnel, which is world's longest highway tunnel built by the Border Roads Organization, connecting Manali and Lahore Spiti Valley. Before that tunnel has been, Atal tunnel has been replaced by world's highest, longest road tunnel in Zojila. Better? Okay, first. Okay, this is the news. With respect to this news, what are the other aspects you will go to geography? So go to geography. Geography, there have been questions asked in geography relating to various ranges of Himalaya. Zojila so pass, La means pass. Zojila pass related to where all the, how it is related, maps. They've given the Indian map and different ranges. Pir Panjal, அப்புறம் வந்து ஜஸ்கர் ranges இருக்கும் பார்த்துக்கிங்களா, that has been given in the map and you have been asked to arrange them from north to south, south to north. அது மாதிரி அரேஞ்ச்மெண்ட் சொல்லி கேட்பாங்க. Similarly, there can also be a question relating to Zojila pass. But directly there can be a question of which is the longest highway and road tunnel, or there can be a information, factual information about Zojila tunnel, or there can be a comparison between Atal tunnel and Zojila tunnel. Or another time they ask a question relating to these passes from east to west. Zojila ஆரம்பிச்சு நாத்துலா வரைக்கும். And these informations you don't have to go to pillar to post. Instead, you can simply go to NCERT book, whatever you read in geography, you can get that. This is an important aspect relating to Zojila Pass. Where is Zojila Pass located, and what are the different ranges in the Himalayas? If you go to NCERT book, there is a map given, the Kashmir map with different ranges. பார்க்குறீங்களா? I'm sharing an image in the Telegram channel, YouTube channel. And you can see that map. It was exactly this map which was given in the question paper. Karakoram, Ladakh, Saskar, Pir Panjab, Apra Shivali. They asked you to identify from top to bottom. Another time they gave the map. And one time they gave the map and asked this question. Another time they gave only the names and they asked you to arrange from the ascending order. South to north. Yeah, south to north. Right, south to north. You're right, south to north. All right. So it is a correct order. That was once asked in the prelims. So Zojila இதெல்லாம் பார்க்கணும். அப்புறம் what are the vegetation in that area? What kind of vegetation you will find in that area? What type of forest they have? What are the flora and fauna? Important flora and fauna. கேளுங்களா? Couple of times they ask this question. Beta. இப்போ Zojila எங்க இருக்கு? Himalayas தான் இருக்கு. Saskar range, Pir Panjala எங்க? And which is that altitude? Well, the altitude இருக்கும். எந்த altitude from the mean sea level? What is the altitude? And at that altitude, what are the different vegetation? This you can find in NCERT geography, right? So what are the different vegetations that are present in that region of Himalayas? But Purida, you have to recall whatever you study using current affairs. That's my point. Is that clear? So what is that you have as vegetation there? So it's not just Zojila Pass, it is not just Himalayas and ranges. It is about the vegetation as well as the fauna. Right? Very simple. I hope it's clear to you. Got it? Okay. சரி இப்போ இதுல ஜோஜிலால வந்து நல்லா பார்த்துக்கோங்க. There are certain other border road organization projects for the projects. Project Bacon and Project Vijay. What are Project Bacon? And this is newspaper level. What is Project Bacon? What is Project Vijay? If recently, I suppose last week, there was a news relating to the border road organizations. As well, January, Jan, February, since October, September, October, till now, Sujila Pass and border road organization, this Project Bacon, is the continuous of the day. Continuously, it has been coming in. So just go through them. Project Vijay and Project Bacon will see tomorrow. All right. As Munadi, go to geography book, environment book, see map, understand Himalaya, vegetation, flora and fauna. That's right. All right. Check. Next. The External Affairs Minister, after the COVID, second wave, the External Affairs Minister Jaishankar visited Mexico. After all, this is a simple visit. Why this becomes important? After 41 years, first Foreign Affairs Minister of India visiting Mexico. And Mexico is the second largest trading partner in Latin America after Brazil. South American countries, Mexico is the second largest partner. Brazil is the first largest partner. It is second largest partner in the Mexico. And India export mainly India exports vehicles and automobile parts, chemicals, aluminum products, electrical machinery and electronic equipment, steel, gems and ceramics. And they import crude oil. Main import from Mexico is crude oil. Given the Ukraine crisis, some of the sources of crude oil, which are all the sources of our crude oil for India? From which countries India imports crude oil? Obviously, the petrol price rises. Petrol prices, diesel prices will get going up and up every day. And there are reasons for that. And main reason is Ukraine. Russia is now offering to India oil and gas at a cheaper price on rupee-ruble exchange. What is rupee-ruble exchange? We'll see later. Okay. What happens if rupee-ruble trade comes into force, what will happen to how it will be beneficial to India? Will it be beneficial or not? The next, other news, another important aspect the pyramid of sun and pyramid of the moon. That can be asked in the question. More than Jaishankar's visit, because the Foreign Affairs Minister of India visited the pyramid of moon and pyramid of sun. NCRT World History booklet is there. Themes and World History booklet. Class 11 Themes and World History booklet. The Mayan ceremonial centers, Teotihuacan and largest building of Teotihuacan period, the city-state of Teotihuacan, and it is the second largest pyramid. Just check with that. Though it is a current affairs issue, there is a historical connotation here. There is a remote chance of talking about second largest pyramid of sun and pyramid of moon. Generally, pyramid of moon and pyramid of sun. Generally, when we have a tendency to associate pyramids with Egypt, but it is in Egypt. Take care of this. And it is mentioned in NCRT book as well. NCRT 11th class Themes in World History. All right. So as of now, in the other aspects are not required. The toxic material in firecrackers, that was also coming into news, where again public interest litigation and contempt of court again came to news. Next news round, again public interest litigation and contempt of court came into focus because of the toxic material in the firecrackers, which were banned by the Supreme Court. Contempt of court and public interest litigation, we have already dealt with them. So, now what we have to understand here, or what is more important here, is the toxic ingredients of barium and its salts. So there can be a question on barium in science. So try to understand what are the characteristic features of barium, how it affects, how it is a pollutant, and how barium becomes a pollutant. That is found in your science books as well. That's science book. I hope it's clear to you. So go to the science book, study about the barium. See, suppose sir, I am not good at science, and science man, I don't I don't want this science things. Absolutely fine, leave it. It's absolutely fine. You need not bother about that. However, if you are a science student, then there is a possibility. Then I may recommend you to understand this. Am I clear? Am I clear? So try to understand this when you are a science student. If you are not so, don't worry about it. Leave it. You don't have to be bothered about it, because you will. It is not required. It's not that very compulsory for you to 100% படிச்சே ஆகணும் சார். நீ compulsory படிச்சே தீரணும் நான் சொல்ல மாட்டேன். If you are really not comfortable with science, forget. However, if you really want that to be studied, barium salts, because there are certain questions relating to barium that can be asked. What is the nature of barium? Characteristic feature of barium. For example, if you see barium is a soft silvery metal, it's a metal or non-metal. See, questions are simple questions are asked. When it comes to these kind of science questions, UPSC doesn't complicate. They ask you simple questions. In the periodic table, barium in the group of elements. And is it a metal or non-metal? What happens to barium if it is exposed to air? When barium is exposed to air, it will form its oxides, barium oxides and barium nitride will be formed. Yeah. And because of their reactivity, they have been used to remove air from vacuum tubes. That's its application. So for example, you have tubeless, yeah, vacuum tubes. Tubeless or vacuum tubes, cathode ray tubes, vacuum tubes. How to generate vacuum? Barium is used in generating vacuum. So these kind of applications can be asked. How barium is applied? Where all barium is applied? I hope it's clear to you, right? So go to 10th standard, 11th standard NCERT books or whatever, even state board books, whatever books you have studied, try to understand barium and barium its salts. That's enough. Okay, next, Nipah virus. And in the virus concept, because of the pandemic, the idea of virus, it is very much in use. So try to understand from the biology book what are viruses, types of virus, bacteriophages, virus, what are the different types of virus? Because the idea of virus has been repeatedly coming in. See, generally UPSC has a habit not to focus on UPSC general. They will ignore very obvious things. If it is repeat, for example, 75th anniversary of Indian independence, you may not expect any question on that because it's too obvious. What is that? Azaka Amritotava. That's a program that they are celebrating. If you expect any question on that, probably UPSC may ignore it. Because UPSC will understand, generally, usually UPSC, these are all which are the things, the day-to-day basis is being spoken to everybody. So it's quite obvious that people will know about it. Because there is nothing to test in you. Really obvious of law. Sometimes what is being obviously left in a particular year could be asked in 2-3 years later. Because the 75th anniversary of Indian independence class, maybe this year, 2021, they didn't ask anything. 2022, they may not ask anything. Probably 2023, they may ask. Yeah. 2023, they may ask. About the point I want to drive home is when certain things are very obvious, UPSC may choose to skip that. So you should be watchful. I'm not saying that ignore totally the obvious things. That is why I'm giving you this virus. See, on the two obvious things, there may be certain elements which are non-obvious in the obvious aspect. For example, 75th anniversary of India independence. What are the schemes that are introduced or that have been formulated as part of 75th anniversary celebration? Atmanirbhar. Remember, UPSC focuses on simple facts. The complexity will be more in the way the questions are framed rather than the complexity of the issue itself. Simple facts and complex questions, maybe they can give you. I hope you understand. Can you name any one scheme that was launched during the 70th anniversary? Ayushman Bharat, then Ayushman Aga. Now you are confused, right? When I'm asking this question, you are confused. But the question is very simple, right? You must have definitely read about it, right? If you go to your notes, you would have taken notes about all these schemes in detail. But the question will be very simply asked: which of the following are the schemes launched during or as part of 75th anniversary? Or they can give you statements. Consider the following statement, identify the right one. Ayushman Bharat and Ayushman Aha are the two schemes introduced as part of the celebration of 75th anniversary of India independence by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Statement right or wrong? Be careful, I have to Is it clear? Is that clear to you? Can you see where the focus has to be? Ayushman Bharat scheme then I'm not saying don't read that, it is important. But at the same time, try to understand how questions can be formulated. Different states high courts formulate in that year, simply UPSC asked the question. There are 25 high courts in India. Out of the 25 high courts, 3 high courts have jurisdiction more than 2 states, excluding union territories. You look at the way the questions are formed. Guwahati High Court and the Tripura Meghalaya High Court. And Telangana High Court, High Court, upon the time Telangana President. Also simple, there are 25 High Courts in India. 3 High Courts have jurisdiction over more than 1 state, excluding union territory. But Madras High Court has jurisdiction over Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry, union territory. So Madras High Court removed. Bombay High Court has jurisdiction over Bombay, Goa, Maharashtra, Goa, and so that's also removed. Kerala High Court has jurisdiction over Kerala and Lakshadweep. So union territory. Calcutta High Court has jurisdiction over. So it is also union territory. Chandigarh High Court has jurisdiction over Chandigarh, which is union territory. Remove that also. So which is High Court left? Goa High Court. Does it have jurisdiction over any union territory? So how many high courts are having jurisdiction more than 1 state? Tamil Nadu High Court has Madras High Court. Honorable High Court of Madras has jurisdiction over Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry. Kerala High Court has jurisdiction over Kerala and Lakshadweep. Bombay High Court has jurisdiction over Bombay, Goa, Maharashtra, Goa, and Tamil Nadu. Calcutta High Court has jurisdiction over West Bengal and Andaman. Punjab High Court has jurisdiction over Punjab, Haryana, and Chandigarh. Delhi High Court has jurisdiction over Delhi only, NCG Delhi. Any other? Guwahati and AP. At that time, the Telangana High Court was not sanctioned. AP High Court was having jurisdiction over Telangana as well as other. Question simple. Sometimes complicated or number complicated, but it's simple. And then simple. Similarly, virus has been there in use for last 3 years. The virus was also virus was பயந்து வீட்டுக்குள்ள ஒளிஞ்சி நீங்க பிரேக் பண்ற லாக் டவுன் போட்டு அப்புறம் ஃபைனலி நீங்க வைரஸோட வாழ பழகின்னு சொல்லி இப்ப நம்ம வைரஸோட வாழ்ந்துட்டு இருக்கோம். The virus has been in use for the last 2.5 years and still it is there in the field. And virus is very important because the virus can make a country go bankrupt. One of the main reasons for Sri Lanka becoming bankrupt is Sri Lanka forex reserves தெரியுமா? 4 billion. அவ்வளவு வச்சிருக்கீங்க. Sri Lanka today has $1.94 billion. Now $1.9 billion which is much lesser than few American models. Assets of few American models. சரியா? $1.9 billion வந்து பெரிய பணக்காரங்க கூட எல்லாம் கம்பேர் பண்ணல. அமெரிக்கால இருக்கிற சில மாடல்ஸ் ஓட அசெட்ஸ் கால்குலேட் பண்ணா ஸ்ரீலங்காவோட forex reserves is lesser than that. And one of the main reasons for Sri Lanka this bad condition is pandemic. Because Sri Lanka's economy was more dependent on tourism, which was thoroughly killed by tourism, was killed by pandemic. Another virus is very much in use. So concept of virus, apart from that, types of virus, data virus, types of virus. Apart from that, COVID, SARS-CoV-2, then Nipah virus. Nipah virus was very much found in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So Nipah virus was spreading between animals and people and is known to cause illness in pigs. It was first discovered in Malaysia and Singapore in 1999, and also fruit bats. The fruit bats are the main reason for spreading of Nipah virus or transmission from animals to human beings because of fruit bats. And very important here is the detection of Nipah virus was also done by RT-PCR, which was used for COVID, as well as ELISA. So, what are the symptoms? What are the symptoms of Nipah virus? Very similar to COVID symptoms: fever, headache, cough, sore throat, difficulty in breathing, and vomiting. And along with this news, National Institute of Virology, located in Pune, came into before. When we talked about virus, you also find out various institutes that were appearing in the newspaper alongside COVID pandemic. COVID news, which are all the institutes that came in news. National Institute of Virology, Pune. யாரெல்லாம் கோவிடுக்கான வேக்சின் போட்டது? Serum Institute எங்க இருக்கு? Find out. Again, I tell you, from a series of Nipah பத்தி எல்லாம் பேசிருக்கோமா? Simple questions. Identify the places, match the following. Which institute is located where? So, which are the institutes that were appearing in the news due to COVID? Where is it located? First bed again. Covaxin. Serum Institute? Covaxin. Where are they? A non-obvious thing from an obvious news. which you tend to overlook. Then why does UPSC ask this kind of question? Why does UPSC focus on non-officer? This is an important quality that is to be tested in an officer. You are expected to know the details and the nuances more than testing recruitment is the backbone of administration. Set the tone and caliber of administration. Right. And the institutes. Tomorrow when you come, just referendum. I just give this to you as an assignment. Which are all the institutes? Just search COVID news circular. You know certificate. You must have definitely taken note. Different institutes that are related to virology or virus research on virus in India. All right. Then next. Let's take this Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. What do you mean by this Ayushman Digital Bharat Mission? Ayushman Digital Bharat Mission. It's a digital initiative for creating a unique health ID for every citizen and digital healthcare professionals and facilities registry. See, it's a registry. They're trying to do two things. One is creating a unique health ID, like your Aadhaar. Second is a registry of a digital registry of healthcare professionals and healthcare facilities, meaning doctors and hospitals, professionals, specialists and other professionals relating to healthcare, and the hospitals. Other list on the see in the list order in the healthcare system order in the ABDM order idea or the advantages. What is needed or why is it being done? See, this is to ensure that there is a health card maintained for everybody in a digital form. This will help, or this will having this ID, which will be digitally recording the health conditions of various individuals. Several, if I am Ganesh, I may be having heart ailment, I may be having liver ailment, I may be suffering from say diabetes, or I may be suffering from BP, perhaps combination of all, and I may be taking the medicines for that. So when I am traveling somewhere, or when I am away from my home, so something happens to me, how do you know, or how do you attend to me? What kind of first aid will you do? நிறைய டைம்ல என்ன ஆகும்னா life is lost not because of the non-availability of medical care, not inaccessibility of medical care, but the unavailability of information relating to medical care. அது மெடிக்கல் கேர்ல நமக்கு என்ன தெரியலன்னா, we didn't know, or many a time the doctors do not know what kind of condition it is. If I don't know about your condition, how can I give you first aid or how can I start treatment? என்ன பிரச்சனை தெரியாதுல திடீர்னு நம்ம மைண்ட் வாஷ் பண்ணணும். somebody fails. Particularly when it comes to airlines, traveling on board a flight. Now, once it happened, I was traveling to Hyderabad. No, from Bombay to Chennai. Flight takeoff on immediately after takeoff, during takeoff, one person complained discomfort, and he was conscious. He told that I am a heart patient, I'm feeling discomfort, probably I'm getting a stroke. Then immediately the flight was grounded. It landed in Bombay again, and he was taken. But by the time the flight landed, he fainted. He became unconscious. Supposing if he did not, he was not conscious, but he fell unconscious. How will the doctors know? At least now the basic information is passed. So this Ayushman Digital Bharat Mission is trying to create a health ID where all these information will be available. Similarly, I am taking a particular medicine for a particular condition. Now I am traveling elsewhere in India. I will say Chandigarh. I want to buy the medicine. How do I buy? Where do I go? But this will have a repository of a registry of all the pharmaceuticals, pharma companies, doctors, and it will also in future it will also have a platform for digital treatments. So that is the idea. This can be asked in the prelims, or this is more for mains. And if you are having optional public administration, note this for e-governance and digital era governance. This project is the latest project that you can quote as an example. I hope it's clear to you. And this is to achieve, or this is to satisfy the objective of the National Health Policy 2017. See, under the National Health Policy 2017, which is now 5 years. 2017. Under that, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare constituted Satya Narayana Committee. Satya Narayana Committee was appointed by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare to develop an implementational framework for national health policy, wherein the committee had produced a national digital health blueprint under which the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission is falling. If Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission is direct a question on also, it can be a question on Satya Narayana Committee also. Or it can be a question on the major policy objectives of National Health Policy of 2017. Just check the major tomorrow again. I already gave you one assignment. Energy Institute. Apart from the second innovation, third innovation India independence schemes introduced. Third is this. Just find out the objectives of National Health Policy. Don't go for detailed reading of the. You don't go and read National Health Policy 2017. National Health Policy மொத்தம் படிக்க போறேன்னு அது 172 பக்க டாக்குமெண்ட் 120 pages don't waste your time. Just Google search for objectives of National Health Policy. That is enough. Clear? Those are online, I think I'm clear.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, next. A national helpline for senior citizens have been introduced. It's called as elder line. The child line is 1098. அதே மாதிரி elder line. It's a national helpline for senior citizens, which is being set up by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment in collaboration with the National Institute of Social Defense and various state governments. So it will be a toll-free number. It will be a toll-free number wherein the senior citizen will be free to call for any kind of assistance, to get information about doctors, hospitals, old age homes, etc., or getting guidance relating to pension related queries, or legal aspects, or maintenance aspects, sometimes emotional support, counseling. இதுக்கு elder line அல்லது national helpline for senior citizens. Again, public administration students. This is again another digital initiative as well as welfare. Because again, and this is important for your mains as well. For general studies, mains is important because in mains there is in second paper there is something called governance paper. The governance paper is welfare schemes for the weak and vulnerable sections. Welfare schemes for the weak and vulnerable sections. This is one of the senior citizens are one of the important weak and vulnerable sections of the society, and this can be you have to quote this as an example. How it works. If there is no financial assistance or anything. Financial assistance direct, even though there is a direct intervention. Particularly, the direct intervention will be in respect of the senior citizens being subjected to abuse, senior citizens being subjected to certain kind of cruelty, and more specifically, there is something called as the maintenance of senior citizen tax. If under the maintenance of senior citizen tax, if there is a complaint, if a senior citizen, I am not taking care of him. So he may, where will he go? And what kind of assistance he might be requiring, what information he might be requiring. So this helpline can. So under this, they can come directly to it. But it is not about assistance program. This is no way connected to financial assistance program. Be careful about it. But it is about sharing information, emotional support, and direct intervention in the spirit of any cruelty anomaly. Otherwise, it is not important. Right? Otherwise, it is not going to give them any direct financial assistance. It is not a scheme. Right? Mind. Then comes the National Rural Livelihood Mission. Why is this in news? Okay. First of all, go back to your notes or economy books to find out various schemes which were merged into national. Framework. We have something called as National Livelihood NLM. Under NLM, we have two. One is National Rural Livelihood Mission, the other is National Urban Livelihood Mission. What are all the schemes that were subsumed to formulate or to bring about National Rural Livelihood Mission? Make note of it. See, this is not only for your prelims. What I am telling you now will give you clarity about the welfare schemes. One. Then it will be more important for the main. And eventually, when you prepare this list, you will be having a clarity about what can be asked in comprehensive or create a framework for the flow chart by code. National Livelihood Mission, National Rural Livelihood Mission, Urban Livelihood Mission. This is another scheme. This is another scheme. And in 2015, this National Rural Livelihood Mission was renamed as Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana. The Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihood Mission. Why is it in news? It is in news because the Ministry of Rural Development, which is the nodal ministry for implementing NRLM, has signed an MOU with Flipkart. Because Flipkart has its own program called Flipkart Samart Program. Flipkart's CSR initiative for equality, Samart and equality. So the Ministry of Rural Development has signed an MOU with Flipkart under the Flipkart Samart Program, by which the products of self-help groups will be shipped through and marketed through the portal of Flipkart. So under the MOU, the Flipkart will train the members of the self-help groups and the cluster of geographical clusters of self-help SHGs as to how to onboard their products. And Flipkart is ready to waive its commission for the first 6 months of the onboarding of the products of SHG groups. About how to catalog their products. About warehousing management, warehousing பண்ணிக்கிறது அந்த ப்ராடக்ட் அவங்க ஃப்ரீ டெலிவரி கொடுக்குறது. இந்த மாதிரி Flipkart is trying to enhance public-private partnership in welfare. A public-private partnership in welfare. This is a combat students. This is Actually speaking, before this program, before this MOU, the Ministry of Rural Development has already created a market for self-help group products called the Saras. The Saras collection. Saras is the marketplace created. There is a portal called Government E-Marketplace. GEM. In the GEM marketplace, already Saras habitually or sub portal create பண்ணிருக்காங்க. Saras is the name given to the overall the collection of the products created by price as well as self-help groups. And many states have registered their self-help groups, or they have registered under the GEM portal, and thereby allowing or enabling their self-help groups of the states to get access to the GEM portal and market through them. But at the GEM portal, it is not as dynamic as well as uh, hugely present, like widely present like Flipkart or Amazon. That is why the government is now going for MOU with Flipkart. So minor information about Flipkart. That is Flipkart, an Indian company. Just a Flipkart, but the basic information. Flipkart is no more Indian company. Flipkart has been bought by Walmart. It was an Indian company registered in Singapore, but now it was borrowed. I mean, it has been bought by Walmart. All right. Sir, other part of the we will see mains. This is important for your main. Already I told you NRLM, National Livelihood Mission, NLM. The details of NLM we will see. We will discuss. First of all, see, if I am giving you some assignment, please don't take it that I am giving you something more to do at the time of fag end of it. Yeah, do this, you will get clarity. Yeah, do this, you will get clarity. And the Flipkart MOU on the public administration, sociology, social also mark this is a welfare scheme where private parties can also be included in welfare. PPP mode and welfare. Yeah. Next. Next is Malabar Rebellion or Mopla Uprising. So Mopla Uprising or Malabar Rebellion is now celebrating its 100th year. 2021 is 100th year. The Malabar Rebellion first took place in 1921. It is one of the first nationalist uprisings in South India. And its 100th anniversary is being celebrated in Kerala. Government of India is also celebrating that. It was the uprising of the Muslim peasants or tenants against the British rulers in the local Hindu laws. If you go to the history book and find out what system of taxation was prevalent in 1921 in the Malabar region. The British period, we had three forms of service. One is Mahalwari, the other is Zamindari, and third is Rayatwari. So go to the history books, find out what were the causes of Mopla uprising, who were the Mopla leaders, Ali Muslia. Ali Muslia. There is a movie, Malayalam movie called 1921. Very long movie, 3.5 to 3 years, 40 minutes, completely about this Malabar Rebellion. Wonderfully shot. I don't know whether it is available or not. I would recommend you to watch it if you really are interested. It's available. It's a wonderful movie. You can really have a visualization of what happened and why this Mopla uprising happened. Not now. Not now, after your exams. See, it was part of, it was aligned with Khilafat movement. And Khilafat movement was aligned with, what do you call that? Non-cooperation. From the time period, so Malabar Rebellion, you must go through it and then you should tell me what are the different aspects of Malabar Rebellion, what system was prevalent over the Mahalwariya, Rayatwariya, If a question is asked about Mahalwari or Rayatwari system, you will think that it's history. That has been asked in the prelims previously. Where all Mahalwari system, see generally ஒரு pattern இருக்கும். இந்த இடத்துல வந்து க்ளூவே இருக்கு. It has been an uprising of Muslim tenants against British and local Hindu landlords ன்னு இருக்கு. அப்ப அங்க என்ன இருக்கும்? Zamindari system. Where all Zamindari system was there all you will find Tenancy Act only. Bengal Zamindari system is there, Bengal Tenancy Act, Madras Tenancy Act. Where all Rayatwari or Mahalwari was there used to be social boycott as a tool of resistance against money lenders. The Rayatwari system, the Rayat is the farmer. The farmer has to pay the tenant to pay the revenue to the government directly. In Mahalwari system, Rayatwari government to farmer there will be a Mohalla chief. Not a Zamindar, but you said it is the revenue officer. அப்ப அங்கெல்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா மணி லெண்டர் ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்கு. இப்போ ஜமீன்தாரி ஏரியால வந்து பீசன்ட் அப்ரைசிங் எப்படி இருக்கும், அதுவே ரயத்வாரி மகள்வாரி ஏரியால எப்படி இருக்கும்? ரயத்வாரி மகள்வாரி ஏரியால நோ டாக்ஸ் கேம்பெயின், ஆன்டி மணி லெண்டர் மூவ்மெண்ட், சோசியல் பாய்காட் எல்லாம் இருக்கு. ஜமீன்தாரி சிஸ்டம்ல அப்படி இருந்தது. Mostly in the Mahalwari and Rayatwari area, the target of uprising should be government. Zamindar area, it won't be government, it will be Zamindar. The peasants in Zamindar area always thought that the British government will come to their rescue. Just go through the book and you will understand. And for better understanding of history, freedom struggle for the mains, you just go through this. But for prelims, go to the facts. You check, recheck it. Go recheck it and come. Which are all the states or provinces where Mahalwari system was prevalent? Which are all the states or provinces where Rayatwari system was prevalent? Which are all the states where Zamindari system was prevalent? So Zamindari system open up very large. Great Gandhi explained. What was Zamindari system? From Awadh to UP, Orissa, other Palay Bengal. Old Punjab, United Provinces, Haryana, Bihar, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, Bengal, Bangladesh, and Chennai, Madras, where Zamindari system. The permanent settlement of Lord Cornwallis, which created the Zamindari system. In other areas, Rayatwari system. All right. So Mapla uprising. Go to the history book. Study. Which are all the areas where what system of revenue collection was formulated and practiced in British? Study. And Government of India Act 1919 came into force by 1921 only. And there can be a question on All India Services also, because All India Services will also be British. Because it was created under the 1919 Government of India. Anti-Rowlatt Act protest, then All India Services, then Mopla uprising, then Khilafat movement, then Chowri Chowra incident, which led to the suspension of then important leaders led into Swaraj Party. When Chowri Chowra incident happened, Gandhi suspended non-cooperation movement, and immediately the Government of India Act 1919 came into force, and elections had to be conducted So, no changes and no changes and group. Gandhi letter no changes. Whereas Motilal Nehru, C.R. Das, and others were pro changes, and they wanted to get into council by participating in elections. Yeah, no changes and no changes. All these information collected come to one. I want you to rehearse and come. Revise and rehearse and come. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Is that clear? Fine. The next one is December 3, International Day of Disabled Persons. So this is also celebrating its 20th anniversary. The United Nations General Assembly in 1992 proclaimed that December 3 will be observed as International Day of Disabled Persons. And in 2006, the Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities was adopted. All right. Now, we have the 20th anniversary of the United Nations General Assembly declared International Day of Disabled Persons. So, this 2021 theme leadership and participation of persons with disabilities towards inclusive, accessible, and sustainable post-COVID-19 world. All right. What is the significance of December 3? Is there any other significance for December 3? Check and come. Is there any other significance for December? Check it. See, what I'm trying to tell you is, why are you unnecessarily making us to do this? Maybe there may not be. I'm just asking you to be a little more cautious. A little more cautious. Other just extrapolating, that's all. Just only to kindle your mind. So that's what you see. This is the way you can revise your notes. You will have a chance to revisit and get back. Otherwise, you will go with whatever I'm telling, and that will be you will tend to overdo. So try to expand beyond using the classroom discussion, whatever we are having here. Try to expand your search and try to go a little deeper about whatever you have studied and do. All right. Check. Rest other aspects we can discuss tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be a little more faster. Being the first class, I was slow. I know that I'm very slow. Tomorrow I shall be doing it little more speed. All right. So tomorrow, let us see. I have given you 4 things to see and talk about. Right? Let us discuss tomorrow. It will be a little more speed up. Right? So thank you all.
Thank you, sir.